The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. No Jalen Brunson, so Mikal Bridges tried to pick up the slack, played well with 22 points. But for the Clippers tonight, James Harden had a game-high 27. And Los Angeles controlled the fourth quarter and won tonight over the Knicks. 105-95 is the final. So the Knicks 0-2 so far on this five-game road trip. Back in New York from our Delta Embassy studios, Bill Pidto along with Wally Szczerbiak. So, of course, tonight began talking about the absence of Jalen Brunson, how it impacted the Knicks. Well, they only scored 17 fourth-quarter points, Wally, and 95 points for the Knicks in a game, second fewest they've scored in a game all season.
38.5% from the field, too. Did not get good looks at the basket, really struggled to generate a lot of offense. Defense kept them in the game up until the fourth quarter. They were only down 79-78 going into that fourth quarter. But in the fourth quarter, they just couldn't find good looks at the basket. This Clipper team's getting better defensively. You saw Jeff Van Gundy over there. He was animated. He was into the game. He was trying to get stops as much as possible. And that's one of the worst offensive performances the Knicks have had. This is a team that normally shoots around 50% from the field, only at 38.5% from the field. That's not going to get it done.
And the Knicks in the fourth quarter, Wally, as you mentioned, they came out of the third quarter only down one at 79-78, but the Clippers won the fourth quarter 26-17, and that was that.
Yeah, it was tough for the Knicks to generate good looks. You see how important Jalen Brunson is. Karl Anthony Towns had 23 points and 10 boards, but for a big guy, it's tough to get buckets. Josh Hart looked good out there. You know, was all over the place, hustle, just extra effort plays. Those two tip-ins by Bojan Bogdanovic were huge to continue to keep that lead up around 5-7 points. Mikal Bridges, great shooting night, 8 for 12. Shot the ball very well. There's that other tip by Bogdanovic. Got to keep him off the boards. Those were extra possessions and extra points that were very important. Josh Hart, again with that nice little lay-in, cuts the lead to 4 at that point. But this one by James Harden, just smooth. Really nice play by Harden to get that bucket. 9-point lead at that point. Both teams didn't shoot it well, although the Clippers shot the three a lot better than the Knicks.
Josh Hart, 14 points, a career-high 20 rebounds for Josh Hart. I mentioned Mikal Bridges, and you mentioned Karl Anthony Towns with 23, but Cat in the fourth quarter scored only 2 points, and the Clippers win it by 10. You know, we talked in the pregame show about James Harden. He's 35, still got it.
Yeah.
At 50 against the Pistons in their last game, and I mentioned off the top 27 in this one to lead the Clippers. Still does a lot of things that are very difficult to stop for a guy his age.
Organizes the team very well. I thought his defense was a little bit better tonight too. He was a little bit engaged defensively. He was on OG Anunoby most of the night, and OG shot 4 for 15, and he's been shooting the ball well, coming off 3 straight 20-plus point games. But you just see James Harden has that ball on a string. His handles are supreme. They're just elite. The way he handles the basketball, the footwork to get those shots up. He really was nailing the threes in the first half. Started to miss some shots in the second half. Ended up 7 for 20, but 5 for 12 from the three-point line. I mean, that's just big time. OG Anunoby was on him most of the night, so he made him take a lot of shots to get his points. He had to take 20 shots to get to 27 points. But the ability to get to that free throw line, that's a big part of his game. This Clipper team with Kawhi Leonard didn't look like Kawhi Leonard, 6 for 18 tonight. Looks like he's still working himself back, although he did play bulk of minutes. He ended up playing 37 minutes. So that's a good sign for the Clippers, the fact that he's being let go with the minutes, not as much restrictions on him with the knee. It's going to be interesting to see where this Clipper team lands in the West, because they have two guys that know how to win basketball games and playoff games, and that can go a long way, especially with Ty Lue coaching. He's a great coach in the playoffs.
As for the Knicks, how good have they been this year? This is only their second 3-game losing streak of the entire season. And we talk in the pregame, okay, who's going to have to change their game, maybe score some more, compensate for the loss of Jalen Brunson? Well, Mikal Bridges did his part with the 22 points. Very efficient, 8 of 12 shooting from the floor.
He did. I think he's going to have to do even more. I think there's going to be a point where he's going to have to play some point guard for this team. He's going to have to run the offense, run high pick and roll with Karl Anthony Towns, because he knows how to probe. He knows how to get off those screens. You can't help off Karl Anthony Towns much with your big man, so he can get a lot of stuff in the mid-range. He can get those little pull-up jumpers like he did in the fourth quarter a couple times when the game was kind of, not in the balance anymore and it was over. Like these shots. Those shots coming off screens are shots that he can get. He has the ability to handle it. He has good size coming off that pick and roll. So I think Tom Thibodeau is going to use him a lot more to kind of make plays like this. This is going to be a big part of his game. He's got to continue to look aggressive and be aggressive and try to make things happen. And that's a good start. He doesn't get as many looks as I think he would like. But when you get the shots, make them. And he's shooting a high percentage, even though he only had 6 points yesterday against the Lakers, or a couple nights ago against the Lakers. He was 3 for 6, so he shot 50%. So that tells me he needs more looks at the basket. Tonight he got more points, and maybe next game he needs to get up around 15, 20 looks. If he keeps shooting this efficiently, that's going to bode well for the Knicks offense.
So Bridges did his part.
Yep.
Deuce McBride, Wally, big issue. 2 of 13 from the floor. We talked in the pregame. In 19 career starts, average zone was 16 a game, but he struggled last night against the Lakers, and he really struggled tonight.
Yeah.
They got to have better shooting from Deuce McBride without Jalen Brunson. That goes without saying.
No question. He's got to continue to stay aggressive. I love the way he got 13 shots, continued to shoot the 3, took that 3 at the end of the game to, just to try to get himself into rhythm, although he did miss it. He's out there to shoot himself into a rhythm, and that's what shooters have to do. It's going to come around. He's too good of a shooter. We've seen it. He puts in the work, and he's just going through a tough time right now. And shooter, that happens when you're a three-point shooter. Once he sees a couple go in the rim, he's going to be back, and the Knicks are going to need him to take shots and make big shots. Mentioned
Towns, 23, but again, only 2 with the game on the line in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he tried to take some quick threes. They were tough shots, but, when you're a big man like that, it's harder for you to score against a set defense in the fourth quarter. The double teams are coming. It's tough to post up. You get to play more physical. Overall, he had a little bit of a bounce back game. You get to 23 points, that's a good sign. He's such a high percentage efficient shooter that 8 for 21, that's good for James Harden, but for Karl Anthony Towns, you're thinking to yourself, well, he's normally better than that. Yes, he is. I thought he moved well. I think he takes the ball to the basket with a vengeance, finished with both hands, righty, lefty. Can't get a call when he goes to the basket either, by the way. There's a lot of contact, people slapping at his hands. Like, just because he powers through it, I understand his frustration. There was a foul on that play down low with a guy trying to knock it out of his hands, and just because he powered through that contact and that slap on the arm, he doesn't get the and-one call like a lot of guards do, who throw their heads back and do all that crazy stuff like James Harden to alert the officials. He just plays good, clean basketball, doesn't get the benefit of a lot of calls, but he can't worry about that. He's just got to put his head down, continue to put in the work and do his thing, and hopefully it results in wins.
We were wondering down the stretch, would Josh Hart get that 20th rebound for his career high? Because there's been a handful of times he's matched his career high with 19 rebounds, but he gets the 20 career high to go with his 14 points.
18 defensive rebounds, too. I mean, that is just incredible work. This is a back-to-back, and he played 46 minutes. Unbelievable. And he's coming off that patellofemoral stuff that he's had issues with right after the All-Star break. So he seems like he's over that. He seems like he figured all that stuff out. But I just love the energy he plays with. I mean, he is just firing around there, playing strong on both ends of the floor, matching up with Kawhi Leonard, held him to 6 for 18 shooting, and he's given up size and strength on Kawhi Leonard. Just an overall impressive performance. 6 for 13 for Josh Hart. He's going to get his buckets. Still not trusting that jump shot. He's got to recalibrate that 3. He just looks like he doesn't have confidence in it, but he still finds a way to impact the game. And Tom Thibodeau preaches that all the time. He's like, don't worry about your shooting. Go out there and do other things. The shooting will come. Josh Hart is the perfect example of how Tom Thibodeau wants his players to play.
All right, we talked about some of the struggles from downtown, only 9 of 34. The Knicks.
Struggle.
That's going to be
big struggle.
Got to do better than that without Brunson for sure. Tom Thibodeau's post-game comments coming up as his team loses tonight to the Clippers, 105-95. We continue on the post-game show after this.
The Knicks post-game show is presented by Audi. Visit your tri-state Audi dealer today.
Game 3 for the Knicks of this 5-game road trip in Sacramento on Monday. Pregame at 10. Game at 10:30. Knicks lose by 10 tonight to the Clippers. Postgame comments from Tom Thibodeau, presented by Chase.
Coach, a little bit of a struggle offensively. Was it a matter of just good shots that just weren't dropping?
Yeah, they're a good, very good defensive team. Hard-fought game. Came up short in the end.
Why did the offense kind of stagnate there in the end? When I think you were only 10 points in the final 7 minutes.
Yeah, they played good defense. Take a look at the film.
Tom, you guys, three-point shooting, defensive three-point shooting can be luck how opponents shoot. Obviously, teams have been shooting well against you guys lately. Is that something you're seeing, or is it just a product of luck, or is it a little bit of both?
Well, and again, they have size. So I thought overall that, they shot 42%. We out-rebounded them by 5. Our turnovers probably hurt us some, and we gave up 2 timely offensive rebounds in a crucial sequence at mid-fourth. So those are things that we have to clean up, and we went in saying if the defense and the rebounding and keeping the turnovers were down, we'd have a chance to win. And I thought we were in position to win all the way to the end. So we fell short tonight, but there was some good things that happened in the game.
What would you think of how the team did without Jalen?
Hey, it's a quick turnaround. So, you come in, you have a walkthrough in a ballroom, and then we have to adjust and we have to adapt quickly. We have more than enough, and we got to find a way to get it done.
How do you see Cat adapt specifically compared to any other game?
He's still finding his rhythm. So he had time off, and so we got to get him into rhythm. We got to work at it.
Late in the game when it was still within reach, it seemed like maybe guys trying to force it a little, like a Cat took one from almost the logo early in the clock. Guys trying to do a little too much.
Again, I want to take a look at the film to see the sequence of, why it happened. But there's a tendency guys want to win, and so sometimes it can be misguided when you're trying to do it like you want to win so bad. And you have to do it within the context of, the framework of the teamwork. But, I'm not gonna. He's a gifted offensive player, and I'm not gonna measure every shot that he takes. If he thinks it's open, I want him to be aggressive and I want him to attack. So, he had time off and now he's got to get back into rhythm. He'll be in rhythm. We know how good he is.
Did you like the aggressiveness that Mikal showed tonight? He got to the line a little bit more, and it looked like he was more aggressive out there.
I thought he played very well overall. I thought OG played, he had a lot to deal with Harden. Then, he battled the whole game, so that was a positive. And like I said, they shot 42, and, the team has Harden, they have Leonard. Zubac is a load to deal with in the post. Batum's a very good player. So, you're going to be tested on every possession. And, a guy like Chris Dunn is a key part of their team. And when you put the ball down in the paint, they're coming after it. And you got to be ready to react and make the right read on that. And when you do, then, we miss some threes too. So we have to make sure that we're in rhythm when we take them.
What about Deuce?
First game, he'll get his rhythm, and he's got the ball. When he's starting, the ball's in his hands more. When he's playing with the second unit, it's more he was off the ball and Cam handled more. But Deuce can do it. I've seen him have huge games there, so I have a lot of confidence in his ability.
When it comes to 50-50 balls, is it as simple as just wanting it more, alertness, or is it just random, and then some nights they go in your favor?
Well, you got to make a second and third effort. I think you got to get to bodies. Sometimes it's, they get a finger tip on it and it gets deflected and it's a scramble, but you just got to make it go your way. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
All right, post-game comments there from Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau. We now bring in Monica McNutt. She helped call the game on ESPN New York, the radio broadcast. Monica, what do you think tonight?
The three-point shooting from the first half was actually pretty strong. I think the team shot about 40%, and then in the second half, it sort of dwindled down. So I was pleased with the pace. I thought the Knicks did a good job of creating gaps in terms of the Clippers' defensive coverage by playing a little bit faster. But ultimately, you got to be able to hit big shots. And there were a couple of critical offensive rebounds that the Clippers got late in that game in the fourth quarter that really kind of pushed the lead out a little bit too far away from the Knicks. But I'm encouraged. I agree with head coach Tom Thibodeau. You got to believe that you have enough, and you've got to figure out a way to scheme around the personnel that's available. But you could see for sure that Jalen Brunson was missed as a creator.
Yeah, Monica, a couple questions. First of all, do you think possibly Mikal Bridges could be that creator in pick and roll with Karl Anthony Towns? The question number one. Question number two, you got to tell us about that building. What's it like inside? What's cool about it? Like, tell me. I've been wondering, watching that place. It looks awesome.
We got to bring Tyler in for the second question. But, all right, so let's go to the first one. You know, Wally, I thought Mikal had a terrific game. It's worth a try. I will say that. It's worth a try. But I think back to earlier in the season, too, when Mikal would find his strides, he had been his best cutting, right? And there was one pass tonight where we saw Karl Anthony Towns find Mikal Bridges. There was a really great pass between Mikal Bridges and Precious Achiuwa. I do think that that's worth a try. And it may not be just those two in tandem, but it might be to bounce Mikal Bridges around with other guys in the pick and roll, right? Because in the mid-range, he's so effective tonight. It was good to see him knock down some threes. I thought he had a good game, and I do think there's something there worth exploring. I just don't know if that's going to create necessarily the mismatches that are at a true advantage. I think we'll have to see how that goes case by case. But I really like the way Mikal Bridges played tonight, and I think that's something worth exploring. Now, to your second question, Tyler and I were debating whether The Wall is a paid actor because it was a little lackluster. I think if any of us have listened to Steve Ballmer talk, I don't know that The Wall necessarily reflected that. But here in the arena, they do have a stat that teams shooting into the wall shoot 74%, which would be the second lowest in the league from the free throw line. So they've done a great job of cooking up all their stats. Tyler described the Halo board as a ring for King Kong, which I think is a little too big. Maybe a crown for King Kong. It is huge. It is visual. There's a lot of lights. If you're not a fan of blinking lights, you might want to be prepared for this arena because there's a whole lot of blinking lights. There's games at your seat. The acoustics are fantastic. Now, the Clippers obviously are struggling to fill this building in terms of the type of season that they're having. But when the Olympics roll through LA, this is going to be the place to be. As a matter of fact, I'd even offer that up for All-Star next year. Even though All-Star lacks luster, it's going to be energized in here just because of how cool this space is.
Great scouting report.
Nice.
Of the building from Monica McNutt.
Like it.
Have a great trip to Sacramento. We'll talk to you Monday.
Sounds good, guys.
Next up for the Knicks in Sacramento Monday. Pre-game at 10, game at 10:30. Knicks lose by 10 to the Clippers tonight. Cat had a team-high 23 in the loss.
Just didn't do enough to win, so got to be better next one.
Going first game without Jalen, not even having to practice, you expect it's going to take a little adapting right now?
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, a huge part of our team is missing. So, next man up, we got to be better and we got to figure it out quick.
Opponent three-point shooting can be random, like it can be bad luck. Like maybe a guy gets hot on one random night, but you guys have given up 40% from threes since January 1st. Is it more bad luck than good luck? Is there something there that needs to be fixed, or is it something that's been talked about and trying to get addressed as of late?
I mean, we got to do a better job of making it more difficult for them shooting a three ball. If that's the percentage, I didn't know that. We got to be better, but we all got to step it up a level.
Back now from the corner three, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer, and worth pointing out, Knicks haven't had hardly any time to adjust to the fact that they don't have Jalen Brunson because it just happened last night.
Yeah, and it was a back-to-back. You got to this team, on a back-to-back fought. They were down one within 3 quarters, and I've always said on the road you want to hang in games, keep it close in the fourth quarter, and find a way to steal games. When you have Jalen Brunson, you keep it close. You steal those games because he's one of the best clutch players, but tonight they struggled to generate good looks. But once they figure things out without him, they'll run different actions. Tom Thibodeau will get the offense clicking in the fourth quarter again.
All right. Again, the Knicks only 17 fourth quarter points. They lose tonight. We will take a look ahead when we return right after this. Wrapping up the postgame show, we'll see you on Monday night with the Knicks in Sacramento to take on the Kings. Pre-game at 10, game at 10:30. You can also stream our coverage on MSG Plus now on the Gotham Sports app. Want more than just a postgame show? Link your eligible TV subscription to stream Knicks games free or subscribe today in the Gotham Sports app. Just go to gothamsports.tv to learn more.